Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the show. As always, I'm your host, Justin Archer, aka the Pasha Guy, your number one source on pain, posture, and performance. And today, as you can tell, I'm coming from the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Lord knows I've done enough of these, but I'm not really sure ever which way to wave. But hello, whichever corner I'm waving to. Anyways, as you can see, today is going to be a screencast video post. And you might be looking at, what exactly am I looking at here? Well, it's kind of the inside of my brain, believe it or not. This is my notes application on my computer. And yeah, it's kind of a busy place. There's a lot of things that I just have to get out of my mind and down on paper. Otherwise, I just forget it. I mean, if you look on the left here and I scroll, these are just some things that, I should remember, take action in: video ideals, post ideals, business ideals, exercise ideals, ideals for clients and everything. And actually, just last week, I deleted about half of these. So, yeah, it's crazy. But I wanted to, there's a couple reasons why I wanted to do this kind of a notepad style. And that's because, as you can tell from the name of this video post, if you clicked on it, which if you're watching this, then you have, of course, is optimizing the efficacy and efficiency, otherwise known as the productivity, of your health through rituals and routines. And one of the first things I know that comes to my mind when I think of efficacy, efficiency, productivity is lists and checklists. And I tell you, this is a lot of times how I keep things in my head is kind of bullet points and sub bullet points and notes and lists and things like that. So really, this is quintessentially the inner workings of my brain, and I wanted to share with you kind of my love affair, if you will, with productivity hacking. Because a lot of times people will tell me, hey Justin, like, optimize the foundations of health, all that sounds good. It's just I can't find the time to do this, or I know I should be doing this thing, but I can't seem to find the time or the will to do it. And I think a lot of that has to do with people simply don't regularly audit their efficiency, how they go about getting things done. And I've been guilty of it myself. I just recently audited, my lifestyle and how productive I've been doing, and found a few holes in my lifestyle that I now have modified and am kind of back on track. So I thought this would be a great time to share those with you, since they're fresh in my mind. And by I mean fresh, I mean literally my wife and I sat down yesterday and went through this stuff. So you are, other than her and I, you're like the second to know, okay? All right, so excuse me if I am kind of reading a little bit. There is a number of things to go over, but that's why they're listed like this. As well as, I think, before we get into the list, another reason why I thought to do this is, a while back, a few people asked, how do you go through how do you go through your day? It'd be a great post to see, like, a day in the life of. Well, although we're not doing like real world or, kind of Big Brother type follow me all over and what we do, at least yet. Just last week, I had several other people ask a similar question. So I thought this would at least give you some insight as to, how I get things done, and, how I will continue to get things done in the near future. All right, so hopefully that helps you. But moving on, I'm going to pose a few questions to you before we get started. Number one is, here, are your daily rituals helping or hindering you from optimizing yourself? So, for example, if you're trying to exercise regularly, how are you designing your day? Because it is ultimately up to you how you design your day, to either help you achieve that goal or to hinder and keep you from achieving that goal. Because I truly believe that success is in the routine, and I'm curious to know, what is your routine? And like I already mentioned earlier, you want to audit this regularly. I would say at least once a quarter, just like you would audit your finances, or hopefully you do that, a couple times a year. You also want to look at, hey, what am I doing day to day? And am I slipping into autopilot, or there's something I can change in my life, whether it be, using a service or a product, or just building a new habit that could make things a lot easier for me, so that I have more time and more energy and maybe more money to go do the things that I really want to do. All right. And you want to remember that when you're making this plan, a lot of people say, well, I have so many things to do and everything's important, everything needs to get done. Well, if everything is important, then nothing is important. And, it's really meaning that obviously you have to prioritize. Now, that's a given. I know everybody says that. But what you do is more important than how you do it. Because a lot of people will even, get obsessed with efficiency and then never actually do it. And therefore, their efficiency sucks. So sometimes you just got to do rather than continue to plan. And also, doing something well or spending a lot of time on something does not make it important. So let me say it again. Doing something well or spending a lot of time on something does not make it important. All right. A lot of times I know we feel like, oh, I just spent hours or days or weeks on something and I'm done with that thing. And, I know it may come off some even mean, but sometimes it's like, so what? Who cares? Who is that benefiting? If a lot of people are benefiting from it as well as it improves your lifestyle, then great, you did well. But if not, it doesn't really matter how much time or how much effort you put into it. All right. And hard work doesn't, a lot of people complain, I got to work so hard, I have to work so much. Well, hard work doesn't solve impotent goals and unclear priorities. It actually magnifies them. This is actually something, so a lot of these points were something I got from the Tim Ferriss's podcast, which I'll definitely link up in the show notes below, as well as a few others. Like I said, I kind of have this love affair where with productivity and efficiency, where I'll spend a lot of time focusing on it, then not spend so much time, and then come back to it. And lately, I've been back to it, so I wanted to share that with you. But again, I'll link all those up in the show notes below. And I've already talked about this before. Work smart, not hard. I always tell people hard work should always be a last ditch effort. You want to try working smart first. And, a lot of people, again, they talk about being busy. And I always look at being busy as a form of laziness because I look at if you haven't taken the time to plan accordingly, right? You haven't figured out what's important and then how to do that thing efficiently. To me, that's laziness. When a lot of people are like, I'm so busy, I have to admit, unless they say or do something otherwise, my first prejudgment is laziness. And I'm not just saying that of others. I notice when I'm saying I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, and I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, Justin, you're probably being lazy, you know? And there's a couple ways this could be put. Being busy is most often used as a guise or kind of hide to mask what you really need to do. And it's usually the thing that you need to do that you're uncomfortable doing. So most important usually equals most uncomfortable. So something I like to try to do every day, and I recommend everybody do this, is do something that makes you uncomfortable every day. And I guess to further specify and narrow down is whatever makes you the most uncomfortable, whatever like makes you sweat bullets and are just really nervous and like, maybe it's making a phone call, maybe it's doing a video or something like that. Do that first, and that's probably the thing that's gonna, drive you closer towards whatever your goal is, whether it's losing weight or, getting out of pain or getting a promotion or selling your car, whatever the case may be. Do that thing first. Also, you want to use checklists, kind of like this, and set time constraints to what you're doing. Because I forget the name of the law, but if you have a week to do something, it's interesting. No matter what the task is, it'll fill that time and take a week. But if you give yourself one day, you'll get it done in a day. And if you give yourself half a day, you'll get it done in half a day. We've all had this phenomenon where an emergency came up and we had to do a full days of work in half a day because we had to take off early. Well, imagine if you did that every day, how much more free time you'd have, right? Now, something I like to do, like I said, use checklists. I use like a simple application like Notes on Mac. I think it's just called Notepad on PC that you can do that. If you want to go low tech, use a little sticky pad, like a post-it and write it down. And I like to add time to this. Now, some people like to do this, some people don't. I do. My wife doesn't because she says sometimes that if she allocates, say, 30 minutes to a task and she doesn't get to 30 minutes, she kind of feels bad. She feels like she's now catching up all day and behind schedule. I like it as more of a form of gamification. I like to see if I can get it done, and then maybe the next day get that same thing done in less time. Therefore, I know I'm improving my efficiency. So again, it adds like a level of gamification, and being a lover of video games, I like it. So I like an app. I like to use an app for this called 3030. It's free. I know it's on iOS. I'm not sure if it's on Android, but check it out. It's 30/30. You can search for that. There's plenty of other ones out there. That's just the one that I prefer. I know other people like the Pomodoro technique or time boxing, things like that. Also, this is an oldie but a goodie, but if you don't plan, then plan to fail. Let me narrow that down a little bit. But efficacy, what you do is more important than efficiency. I think I already touched on this before. So you want to make sure you're spending time doing the right things, and we already talked about that. And so you want to find whatever that most important thing is, probably the thing that's going to make you the most uncomfortable, and spend your most productive time, your most creative time when you're fresh too mentally. For some people, that's the morning. For others, it's the evening. Others, it's in the middle of the day. That's going to be individual to who you are. But spend the most amount of time, say 2, 3 hours, on that task each day. And also, don't underestimate yourself and/or overestimate the rest of the world. A lot of times people will look to these really successful, really productive people that get a lot of things done every day or every week, or it seems like they do. But I'll tell you what, a lot of people look, people will even, and trust me, I do not refer to myself as like a hero, guru, expert, but people have asked me, like, how do you get this stuff done? And it's like I depend on lists, and I depend on, or I count on my laziness and sometimes lack of will, but I set up systems and behavioral patterns to make sure I get stuff done. I'm nothing special. It's just I find ways to automate. I use products, I use services, I use applications, reminders, things like that, because, I'm just like you, and human beings, we're always going to take the path of least resistance. So I just take like little barriers, kind of like when you bowl, to bounce me towards that path of least resistance and kind of aim me. If that makes sense at all. I don't know. Let's see. And also, even the best of the best feel this way sometimes. So, like I just said. Now, I want to share with you some of my rules to live and work by. And this is actually something, like I said, my wife Ania and I just sat down yesterday and audited and went over, because we were both finding that we were becoming workaholics. I know. Well, there could be worse things, but we were just working, working, working. And I think not only does that a strain on a relationship, if you are in a relationship, but also even if you're just single, it's unhealthy because you get burnt out and you're not as productive, and you're not as creative, and you're just not the best version of yourself. So here's what we came up with: is Monday through Friday we work. Saturday we put in a half day, but we cut what we're doing off at noon, and Sunday we don't work at all. Now, granted, these are kind of general, and they may apply to you, they may not. Take your pick, but hopefully you come out with something from this. Also, I always recommend people have the next day plan the day or night before, because I think a lot of people, myself included, waste a lot of time and energy just figuring out what to do that day, whether it's work related, or I'm sure you've had this happen on a weekend. And every once in a while, it's fine, right, to wake up on a weekend, just have a lazy day and not figure out what you're doing until noon or 1. But if you do that all the time, you come to realize, oh my gosh, this whole weekend we didn't do anything, and the following weekend you didn't do anything, and the following weekend, then the month, and then you feel burnt out because you didn't go anywhere or do anything on your time off. You just spent all your time off trying to figure out what to do, right? It's one of those, hey, honey, what are we doing this weekend? I don't know. What do you want to do? Well, what do you want to do? And it just keeps on going and going and going. So plan, whether it's work or pleasure, plan what you're going to do the next day, the day or night before. All right. Moving on, for work, I would say this for work, or for pleasure, on your days off, try to keep, and I'm guilty of breaking this law sometimes myself, but try to check your email no more than twice per day. And I know some professions you need to check it more often, but let's say noon and 4. And I think it's really setting expectations and training the people that you work with, or your clients, your customers, that it's like, hey, if you need to get a hold of me right away, call me. Otherwise, most emails, if you don't get back to them in 24 to 40 hours, guess what? They're not going to die and the world's still going to keep spinning. And I think just checking your email constantly, 15, 20, 30, 50 times a day, it just takes a toll on you mentally. And again, then you can't be the best version of yourself possible. Then you can't do your job or serve whoever it is you're serving to the best of your ability. So ease back on the email. Sleep is huge. This is something I usually suck at, but I've made it a point to improve. Like I'm trying to, and I've not I'm trying to. I have now in my head made sleep awesome. Like I'm going around like bragging about now how much better my sleep is, and getting to bed for. All right, sorry about that. Apparently, Screencast-O-Matic has told me, or that was its way of telling me that I've been talking too much. So I'll try to wrap this up for you. But anyways, we're just getting started about sleep, and like I said, this is usually one of the things that I struggle with. But as of lately, I've really made it a point to get more sleep, better quality of sleep, and I've never really had an issue sleeping in the right position. I always sleep comfortably, wake up feeling good. But this is something I've noticed both in myself and of everybody I've worked with. If you're not getting enough sleep, enough quality sleep, and sleep in the right position, it will just wreck your health and wreck your productivity in your personal life, your work life, just everything. So sleep is huge, huge. Um, what I was going to say, oh, like I said, you can set an alarm to go to bed. I definitely recommend doing that. So making sure that you're in bed at a certain time. I know a lot of people have alarms to wake up. I have an alarm to go to bed, right? It's kind of that little bird on your shoulder and kind of tapping you saying, go to bed. And I think if you go to bed early enough, you'll wake up, with the sun. You'll wake up in plenty of time. You won't have to rush. But if you want a tool to help you do so to wake up in time, I think Sleepy Time or Sleep Cycle app, I'll try to remember to link to those below, are both really good ones that'll help wake you up in between your sleep cycles so that you're more fresh and alert and awake and ready to tackle, whatever the day has in store for you. So definitely check those out. But since I've been using those, I've noticed really the last month or so I haven't really used an alarm. I naturally wake up in between that like 6:30 time and I'm out of bed by 7 or before. Um, Next one is consume first meal, whether it's liquid or solid. So whether I'm having bulletproof coffee or tea, or I'm having like maybe eggs and bacon, whatever the case may be, within 30 minutes upon awakening, right? It's important to fuel your body. Also probably good to have 12 ounces of ice cold water, sitting by your bed, ready to drink when you wake up. Another one I have is eat together at noon and 8. That's what my wife and I, essentially have made an agreement to do because we want to spend more time together. So we actually take a break from what we're doing work wise, and we will sit down and have a meal together. And they are usually 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes 30 if I choose slowly, but somewhere between there. And you get to just slow down, you get to chew your food, digest, we get to check in with each other and see what's been going on in our morning, what we're planning for the rest of the day. But I think this is important, even if you're just not in a couple or you guys work together. But even if you're single, is to take that time for yourself to just kind of and relax and enjoy what nutritious things you're choosing to put into your body and being more conscious of what you're eating and how you're eating and how it's affecting your body. So really take the time to enjoy your food. Speaking of which, we cook together every other day. If you're a couple, I definitely recommend you do something like that. Maybe every other day, every third day, depending on how big your fridge or freezer is. And again, if you're single, make sure to take the time to prepare your meal because a lot of times when people make poor diet decisions or nutrition decisions, they eat the wrong thing, their excuse is usually, well, I didn't have time to cook. Well, I get that. Things happen in the day, so you always want to be prepared. Cook your meals the day or 2 days before and just have them ready to go. So, it only takes a minute or two to heat up on a pan or if you have to in a microwave. All right. Um, so again, that's kind of, the rules that I like to live and work by. Again, they were more or less the same, but we kind of refreshed them yesterday and kind of modified them, tweaked them here and there to fit what our goals are moving forward. hopefully you can take something like this, and I'll probably just take all of these and copy and paste them in the post, and then you can apply them to your lifestyle, and use and adapt what works for you, throw away what doesn't, however that Bruce Lee quote goes. But here's a quick snapshot of my day today. This may vary a little bit from day to day, but more or less it's the same. So I always wake up by putting something good in my mind, and by that I mean, I definitely believe that we are what we think, or we become what we think. Just like people say, you are, well, you are what you eat, or you are what you eat eats. You are who you hang out with, your closest friends. Well, I also believe you are what you read, you are what you watch, you are what you listen to. So every morning I have my iPod Touch here, and I turn it on and I either watch something or listen to something inspirational, motivational, educational, and or all the a combination of all the above. And I love it. It gets me going in the morning, gets my brain working, getting creative and everything. And I'll even continue that. That's like the first 30 minutes. Sometimes I stay in bed, sometimes I get up and walk around. But then I'll continue to listen or watch those things as I make my bulletproof coffee or tea or breakfast in the morning. That takes about 25 minutes. Then I'll continue watching, listen to that as I do my exercise routine. It's about another 25 minutes. I'll still continue to listen to. I'm continuing to put good stuff into my mind while I go for a 20-minute walk. And then like today, I came out, I had some fires to put out. Nothing like big, nothing costly or anything. Just things that needed my attention. So I did that. That took about 15 minutes, which I gave my undivided attention. And then I had breakfast. That was about noon. Again, sat down, took the time to prepare the meal, eat it, and everything. It was great. Today it was eggs, bacon, zucchini, sausage. I think there was some onion there. Very good. Then took a shower, got dressed, 15 minutes there, filmed a video. Usually, if I'm just filming a shorter video, it takes like 15 minutes or less. Today, I'm doing a video post, so that's more like 50 minutes. After this, I'll work on social media for 15 minutes. And then for the next 50 minutes, you might be wondering why 50 and not 60, is I like to leave 5 to 10 minutes in between to, maybe do some movement. Just walk around, or if I have to go to the restroom, or fill my water bottle with more water, whatever the case may be, just to leave little breaks in there. If you want to learn more about that, you can look at the Pomodoro technique or time boxing, and you'll get the idea. Um, let's see. Then the rest of the day, I'll probably be working on research and creating whatever the next module I have coming up for the Optimized Self workshop slash course. And if you're not aware of that, it's basically a workshop that me and some of the other posture guys and gals, who now we've kind of formed this sub family called the Optimized Self family. We call ourselves Optimized Selfies until someone else can come up with a better name. But basically, it's building this course. It's a workshop now. When it's done, it'll be a course that is kind of going to be the quintessential guide to taking care of yourself, and doing so through optimizing what we refer to as the 7 foundations of health. So your breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and exercise. Obviously, all of which are important, but some more important than others. And at the end of this month, on Saturday, June 28th, 2014, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're going to be putting on the breathing module. So if you want to know about how to go about optimizing your breathing, why it's important, how it uh, contributes to your overall health, how it correlates with your other foundations of health, like nutrition and exercise and stress and things like that. Definitely, you want to be there for that, and you can register for it at the end of this video. I may put a place below where you can sign up too, but definitely at the end of this video, there'll be a place where you can sign up to register for that workshop, as well as you'll be kept up to date on all the recent happenings and going ons and updates and news and deals about the course as we build it for the remainder of the year, and then when it launches at the end of the year. All right, so I think that wraps up everything for today. Like I said, I'll try to remember to post all this below, along with some links and show notes, or in the show notes, that I think will be helpful to you. Like I said, I hope you understand this wasn't to simply ramble on about my life and what's going on, but hopefully you can take this and apply, some of the things that I've learned to your life, because I definitely think, a lot of people nowadays, we just don't make enough time for our health, to spend optimizing our health. And it's because we're so busy, we've switched over to autopilot, and we'll make these, let's be honest with ourselves, excuses for reasons why we don't have time to take care of ourselves, when in reality it's, if you don't take the time and the attention and the love to care for yourself, then you can't give it away. You can't give away what you don't have. You can't be the best for your job. You can't be the best for your family and your loved ones. You're going through life basically suboptimal, and that's no way to live. So, anyways, I hope something I shared with you here today helped you, again, kind of think about how you might go about optimizing the efficacy and efficiency, otherwise known as productivity, of your health through rituals and routines. I know rituals and routines work wonders for me. And if I were to leave you with a final note, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, all these lists and the routines and hacking productivity and all that, it's just going to be an endless list of things to do, never, and then I just feel kind of robotic. I can tell you, you'll get so much done. I'll tell you this list here, usually, today I admit I'm running late. Most of this, with the exception of the last two things, I'm done with before noon, and then I have like the half a day. If I want to do more work, I will do. A lot of times it's like, I look at Anya, if she's done too, it's like, hey, let's go for a walk, let's go do something. And you find yourself with much more spare time, and then, you get to be spontaneous and let's go do this, or let's go, excuse me, let's go out to eat. So it's wonderful. You're definitely not going to just be endless list, endless list. Again, focus on what needs to get done. Work smart, not hard. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else I can do to help with that. All right. Anyways, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you inside the next video. Until then, take care and keep moving.